I'm sorry for all of this. I'm sorry for spitting the truth. Sorry for dissing that dude. Sorry for missing the point of the criticism. I was blinded by diamonds and loot. I apologize to all you guys. Y'all were right. I was out my mind. I went too far. I did too much. The haters were right when they said I suck. I did my best. It did nothing for me. I gave my guts and got lost in glory. I'm standing here while you sit before me. There's nothing left but to say I'm sorry. That doesn't bother me. I don't owe anybody an apology. I don't have no regrets in my biology. Reload and shoot for the stars, y'all look like astronomy. No one as hot as me, copy me commonly. Wannabes, y'all are so shockingly comedy. Carry the weight of my songs all on top of me. I will not break, I'm not made out of pottery. Bury your bodies on acres of property. Place them at angles like sacred geometry. Down with the modesty, everything I drop is quality. Promise, like honestly, follow me. I ain't gonna stop with the hits. Come rock with the kid on block like Pac with a bin. I'm a god with a pen, no cop.
Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com. We'll change up a little music there, a little bit of, going tonight. It is Friday night, might as well throw in a little attitude. We have a big storm system to talk about that we've been doing for a while now, since I think Tuesday. Started sounding the alarms. There's going to be a nasty cold period, and then of course we're going to have the upcoming active storm track on top of that, and it was just bound to come together to give us some record-breaking snowfall. So we're going to see what happens here over the weekend on into next week. So thanks for joining me. I'm Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle. Please like and share this video. And as many of you noticed, not everybody's going to be a fan of the music. I got you, Mary. It's just a little something different. Don't worry. I got all kinds of music. This was just a little attitude. If you have not checked your Facebook notifications lately, Facebook has changed things and probably turned them off. You have to periodically go in there when they make broad changes, which they did back in the fall. So a lot of you have found out that yours was turned off and you didn't do it. Well, Facebook did it for you. So it likes to think for you. It knows what you want better than you do. So make sure you turn those back on. Same thing for YouTube. Check those and Twitter. So if you haven't been getting my notifications, then that would be the reason. All right, at least in theory. Otherwise, like I've always told you, it's the same as always. You have to like, share, comment, because if you don't participate in any of those fashions, Facebook does not reward you, does not think you're interested. Therefore, it never lets you know when I post anything or when I go live. That's just the way it is. So it's the nature of the beast. It's the algorithms, and you have to play by their rules if you want to use their platform. And that's how you get the information that you want. All right, so with that said, let's get into the action, shall we? So thanks for watching on YouTube tonight, you guys. I see you on Twitter, Periscope, and also there, of course, on Facebook pages, both on the fan page, closed group patron page, and on the main page. So, my goodness, there is so much out there. We'll start you off with the current situation. We've got, by the way, thanks for all the stars. I'm seeing you guys throwing me some Facebook love tonight. You can hit the little star button right next to the comment section, and Facebook will shoot me a few for you. So I appreciate that. But you can see a lot of snow is happening out there right now. Here's some moderate snow at times here in central Oklahoma. So that's a nice little change. We've had flurries, of course, off and on all day long. And we got more light snow out here in western Oklahoma and out in eastern Oklahoma. We have a couple of, well, we did have a couple of different advisories, but now they're kind of being all congealed into one. So it's still a wind chill advisory, but it's being superseded by a winter storm warning. Winter storm warning means several inches of snowfall, very low temperatures, below zero wind chill values. So as you know, this is kind of old news by this point, I would hope for you anyway. If not, you've been living under a rock, my friend. There has been some pockets of heavier snow within this, which is good, if you want some of that snow, especially here in Stillwater. Came down southward here and kind of evaporated some, but we're still going to get some of this little stuff overnight with this little weak passing batch of upper level energy and moisture that's moving on through. It won't be anything huge compared to what's coming our way, by the way, Saturday night and Sunday. So just it's kind of like a precursor A little warm up, if you will. These little pink numbers on the map are wind chill values. They're already below zero in many areas. Get used to it. Doesn't get much better from here on out. Matter of fact, it should get progressively worse, especially for our Valentine's Day. Okay, that out of the way, let's get into what we need to talk about. So, brought up this little graphic here from the National Weather Service to show you the difference. But what we're focused on here is a winter storm warning, which is 6 inches or more of snow with strong winds. Of course, a lot of it puts us in a dangerous and life-threatening winter weather situation. Avoid unnecessary travel. We're going to have some snow drifts, near blizzard-like conditions at times for some folks. That's, of course, the most dangerous winter weather situation. Snow or blowing snow can cause a quarter-mile visibility during the day. And, of course, at nighttime, that's way, way worse. Strong winds of around 35 miles per hour greater need to occur. And this needs to happen over at least a 3-hour period, really, to qualify. So we're going to be maybe parts of the state seeing just on the criteria borderline of blizzard-type situation. So that's kind of the big picture of things. Remember, you have to have winds about 35, falling and blowing snow, which we'll have, and visibility less than about a quarter of a mile or equal to that. So that would be blizzard-like conditions. Now, if you want to get out there and measure the snow come Monday morning, Weather Service put together a little graphic for you. Take a ruler, or in this case, you're going to need a yardstick, and go out there to an open field. You don't want to get around the house or around a tree, so you want to go where you kind of get a nice flat area, no objects around it. And then you're going to want to kind of measure a couple of different areas out there deep, and you're going to look at the little line with your eyeball right where the top of the snow is on the ruler, measure to the nearest tenth, and like they used a board to put it down in. Obviously the ground's pretty hard, so you could use the ground, especially if you don't have a lot of grass on it. But anyway, so there you go, and then send the reports in to me and the Weather Service and let us all know how much you got. Now snow is the big part of the story, but it's not the biggest part of the story. So there's a dangerous element to that, and although I am excited about the snow, I also am saddened because we will be dealing with some loss of life. We will be dealing with the stuff that happens in a big winter storm like this. It's inevitable. So some tips for that. When you're outside, you got to obviously stay shelter somewhere. You can't stay out in the elements for long. If you are outdoors, you're going to have to stay warm somehow. Make sure you drink, do some exercises, jumping jacks, whatever it may be. If you're in a car, slow down, slow down, slow down. Trust me, you're going to get there as long as you take it slow. With this situation, make sure you have emergency supply kit in your car. We talked about that. I'll show you a graphic about that here in a minute. If your car gets stuck, stay in your vehicle. If you leave, you may become disoriented quickly in wind-driven snow and cold. You don't want that to happen. Run the motor about every 10 minutes, each hour for heat. While running the motor, open up a window a little for fresh air to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. Clear snow from the exhaust pipe to avoid gas poisoning. And of course, you want to be visible to rescuers. Turn the dome light on, especially at night, obviously. Tie a bright colored cloth red to your antenna or door. After the snow stops falling, raise the hood to indicate you need help. So those are all conditions you may find yourself in during the storm system, so take note. If your heat close off at home, obviously you'll be inside, but you want to close off unneeded rooms, stuff towels or rags in the cracks under the door, close blinds, curtains, eat and drink, just not alcohol or caffeine. Wear layers of loose-fitting clothing until you get power back on, because some of you already have lost power across the state. Hopefully won't be out for too long, but that is definitely a possibility. Here's your first aid kit for your car. Idea, cell phone charger, jumper cable, spare tire flares, gas, obviously you're going to need that, tow rope, blankets, snow shovel, ice scraper, flashlight, mittens, hat, warm, water, snacks. So if you must travel this weekend, now Saturday's not too bad. Sunday, though, is going to be a nightmare. Storm system's coming a little earlier, so we're going to look at the timing on that and the amount of snow we're going to get with that. Also watch for frostbite. Frostbite can happen quickly in this environment, about 30 minutes on Sunday. Frostbite is no joke, man. So what happens is you'll start to see some ice crystals forming on your skin. That's the first degree. Second degree, your skin begins to feel warm, even though it's not defrosted. It's a very strange feeling. Skin will turn pink, red, pale, or white. Fourth degree is that the pain will last for hours, and your skin will probably turn blue or black. These happen gangrene is going to happen to you, I'm afraid. Now, frostbite first aid, this is what you don't think you would do, but you don't want to rub or massage the cold body parts. That's an interesting point. You want to put your hands in your armpits to warm them up. Hold on to another person or an animal. You transfer the heat that way. It's a heat transfer equation. Drink warm liquids. Put on extra layers of clothes, blankets. Let's see, once indoors. Don't walk on a frostbitten foot, by the way. You might cause more damage. Get into a warm bath, not a hot bath. Wrap your face and ears in a moist, warm, not hot towel. Don't get near a hot stove or heater. Use a heating pad, hot water bottle, or hair dryer. You may burn yourself before the feeling returns. Frostbitten skin will become red and swollen. It feels like it's on fire. You might even develop blisters. Could cause scarring and infection. So I'm pointing this out to you tonight because we haven't had a lot of time to talk about this stuff. It's not exciting, but the problem is this is what we're dealing with when you have temperatures as cold as this, and then the weather to boot on top of it with the snow that comes in. Hypothermia is a serious deal as well. Dress in warm layers. Obviously, if you're going to be going outside any length of time, eat, drink. Same kind of principle applies for the rest of the things we talked about. So that's the difference between a frostbite, which is redness or pain in any skin area, white, yellowish, grayish skin area, skin that feels unusually firm or waxy, numb. Hypothermia, shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, slurred speech, drowsiness. In infants, they get bright red, cold skin and very low energy. What happens when you get frostbite? Well, at first, you get those little red fingertips. Once it gets a little deeper, those fingertips expand, and the very tips will turn black. Then they really start to expand in black. Even same thing with the foot. Once you have this, it's amputation time. You don't want to get in this pattern here. So you want to avoid this whole thing. You want to recognize it right here when it's in the first stage, grade 1, and take care of it immediately, or you're going to lose what you have. Now, there's a lot of ugly pictures you will find on Google search. I did not pick those because you don't want to see those. This is the initial stage, little red ear. Here's a more advanced stage, puffiness, swelling, under the skin, red. This is a pretty severe stage. This is where you better start getting some attention on that. This is where they waited too late. They're going to lose their ear. All right, so if it gets to this color, you're too late. You just lost a body part. So that's how important frostbite is. Hypothermia, puffy or swollen face, sleepy, anger, confused, blacking out, loss of consciousness, low heartbeat, shows shallow breathing, slow speech, slurred, pale skin, shivering, cold hands. I mean, look at all these symptoms for hypothermia. So you're going to get tipped off that something's not right. Cold feet. And then when this happened, it's time to call 911, move to a warm place, wrap in warm blankets or towels, drink something warm. Do not rub legs or arms. Same kind of process for the frostbite. And do not put somebody in a hot bath for that. Or use a heating pad because it could burn them. And when you look at that, you can take a thermometer to see how they're doing. If their body temperature is in the low 90s, that's where you get the slurred speech, the numbness, poor judgment, uncoordinated. Once you get below 90 degrees, you're on a quick path to death. So once you get into the mid 80s, your body starts to shut down. So it is very serious, and if you're outdoors for a length of time, this is definitely something we have to consider and contend with. Wind chill values, once they get into the negative teens to negative 20s, frostbite time is about 30 minutes. That's all you got out there. So you can't. I can't stress this enough, which is why I've harped on this for the last few days, and it's important to repeat tonight before we get into the forecast. I know it took a minute, but I needed you to know the dangers of this forecast. I know we all want to know about the snow, and I'm with you on that, but I have to preach to you about the things you really need to watch out for that's life-threatening, so we can try to cut down the deaths out there. Okay, so word of the day. It's really word of the week. So I brought this up on Wednesday. QPF, Quantitative Precipitation Forecast. So we usually give a rainfall forecast. We're actually talking about the QPF. We just never tell you that because it's geeky weather talk, and you're like, oh, what's that going to do for me? So we just tell you it's going to rain half an inch. Well, it's really the QPF we're talking about, a half an inch. We're going to come back to this, why it's important here in a minute. Weather Service highlights on their website tonight obviously hits the dangerous wind chill values in the negative teens and negative 20s over the weekend. Storm system itself, we've got two right now. So the first one is this guy right here coming into Mexico. The next one is just off the western coastline, just now coming into the picture. And this one is pumping in Pacific moisture overriding right here in Oklahoma, and that's what's helping to produce our first run of some very light snow out here this evening. The second one that comes in is the one that's really going to go nuts. This one, the first one's going to go south into southern Texas, so we're only going to get a glancing blow of that. If we look at the big picture across the entire southern plains, you can see how the snow is kind of trailing that band of moisture here. A lot of this is mid and upper level snow, and then we've got some of the low level generation that we've already had anyway from just cold air continuing to pile in here with Arctic air and cold air advection processes. So kind of a couple different ways to generate some snow, very light snow that is across the state tonight, but enough that could cause some road condition issues as some of it kind of gathers up on there and melts a little bit, then refreezes, so some patchy black ice. So you're going to have to be careful tonight for driving around extremely. Take it slow. You can see these temperatures in Kansas in the red continue to drop close to zero. Our numbers in Oklahoma are going the wrong way. They're going the wrong way down in Dallas. So good, strong north-northeast wind out of this area, pumping in drier air as well. That is helping to lower, or change, I should say, our snow-liquid ratio. We'll talk about that in a second as well. So let me do this is why this is important. Refresh this. If we were to look at the snow-liquid ratio right now, we draw the line 8 degrees there. We're at roughly 12 degrees like this. And then we're about 18 to 20 degrees in this area. So this would be, where's my pen? Is this going to work? Hey, look at that. I can draw real better with a pen. 25 to 1 and maybe 20 to 1. So these are going to be snow ratios. We're going to multiply whatever our QPF is by these numbers on Sunday to get our snowfall totals. So we're not really going to depend too much on what the models think it is going to be for the snow. We're going to use old-fashioned meteorology. As a reminder, my website, AaronTuttleWeather.com, and on my free weather app, AT's Weather to Go, you can get this Oklahoma road conditions map. Shows you the ground temperatures, which are pretty much all right around freezing, so that's not going to help us on the melting side of things. It's got the snow route for you. It'll have live road conditions out there across the state and also into the cities with pictures, so video you can actually look at to see how things are going if you must travel out. All right, here's a look at the timeline here for precipitation. Now this is going to start peaking on the models here by Saturday evening, and then wrapping up around lunchtime on Monday. So this is the period here in which we're going to get our storm system. We do have a little signal here, of course, tonight into early tomorrow morning with that passing wave that we just showed you on the water vapor channel, but that doesn't do much for us on accumulation. This, however, is going to, so total QPF on this on an average has gone up a little bit, but it's about ½ inch. So that's 0.5. This is in Oklahoma City, which is representative of most of the state. So if you multiply, let's just say 20 to 1 by 0.5, that's 10 inches of snow is what we're going to get here in Oklahoma City. That's if we got exactly 0.5 on the QPF. There's also going to be some ice with this storm system over the next couple of days, but it's going to be down in Texas, in the southern half of Texas, along the coastline into Louisiana. Some significant icing down there, so keep that in mind if you have friends or family are wanting to travel. Now, the overall picture of the jet stream, this is our disturbance. We showed you on the water vapor. We'll show it here in a graphical format. It'll swing down here, and then we're going to watch one come out here and swing in behind it rather quickly. You're going to see how they produce precipitation. So there's the first one moving on by in South Texas for the weekend. Here comes the secondary round that moves through. It tries to wrap up, and this is the key. It's got a little hook on it right. It crosses over the Red River. So that's a little extra squeezing out some moisture here by Monday morning as it starts to swing on by and exit the state. So it's not a bad storm system for us as far as placement and intensity. Another one wraps up behind it, though, and this is for on Thursday. Now, this is where things get interesting on Thursday. Not all models agree on this look. Some of them keep it more of an open wave trough. This one's kind of a hybrid, somewhat open and somewhat trying to close off. If it can close off in a more of a closed upper low, we're going to have a big problem on our hands. If it stays more open, broad like this, it'll be less precipitation in general. We talked about that at lunchtime today. We'll hit on that again extended coming up tonight. There's more systems on the way, one after another. We're going to be going into an active pattern continuing for the rest of the month. Okay, so there's that 10 to 1 ratio I talked about, which is if you get 1 inch of water, it turns into 10 inches of snow. But very dry air, cold dry air, will change the snow ratios. And that's what we have here with that Arctic air filtering in. So to make it easy for you, let's just say we get ½ an inch. Here in Oklahoma City, let's say we're at 20 to 1, make it easy. That's 10 inches of snow. I actually think that our snow ratio is probably going to be just a little bit higher than that. If I show you what the model output here is on the NAM, look at this blue line right here, this little light blue line. So when the precip starts at midnight, really a little before that, Saturday night, the snow ratio is going to be about 10. So it's 10 to 1. So it's, and already it's wrong, but let's just go with what it's showing, okay? During the event, the snow ratio increases to 23 here in Oklahoma City, 23 to 1. So that would be the final number you would multiply by 23 times whatever the QPF is to get our final amounts of snow. Now, unfortunately, this is a little low, I think, so it's not quite right. I think it'll be closer to 25 to 1 for most of the event, which means we'll be easily, I think, a foot here in Oklahoma City. I'm still going with that idea. Here's a look at your generic rule of thumb. When we're at 12 degrees, it's 25 to 1. When we're at 5 degrees, temperature outside, it's going to be 30 to 1. Guess where we're going to be on Sunday? We're going to be between 5 and 12 degrees, probably about 8. And we might actually end up being closer to 5. And if that happens, I'm telling you, this can be a really surprise event for snowfall totals. You get ratios up to around 30 to 1, that's lake effect snow. And that is what's going to happen across Oklahoma. It already has happened. I've seen some pictures up there from Tulsa and some lakes here across central Oklahoma. On the southwest side, you are going to get dumped on. Now this is what lake effect snow is. You basically have moisture. Heat and moisture comes off the water that hasn't frozen yet. We've got the cold air that comes in on top of that moisture. You know, it's just blowing on by. And we've already got the clouds, of course, out there now, so just add to it. And that just creates more precipitation. So then heavy snow falls downwind of the lake onto the little house below. So that's how the neighborhoods close to the lake are going to get a nice little surprise as far as precipitation goes. There's that little rest of the graphics sneaking in there. A little too big for the image. So get ready for lake effect snow in Oklahoma, and we could get 30 inches out of that. The weight of the snow, won't get much detail into this one, but it's going to be the dry, fluffy kind. So even at a 15 to 1 ratio, it's super fluffy, so it doesn't weigh a lot. So even though you may get quite a bit of snow, it's not going to do anything as far as weight goes. Should not affect power lines or trees, that kind of thing. Just the existing residual water that is frozen on the lines and stuff. That's a little bit of a weight with the wind kicking in over the weekend. That might cause a problem. Winds gusting up to around 30. I'll show you that in a second. Quick peek at what's going to happen with this secondary storm system. This is looking at the water vapor channel from the European model, just to point out highlight the difference. So the first little system that's coming by is down in here. Little upper level low, got a little moisture with it, not a big deal. And then we get dry slide right here, but right behind it, see this bright yellow? That's a lot of energy and moisture coming in rapidly for Saturday night, right behind the next system. All right, so see how that kind of moves through the central plains here on Sunday and a Monday morning, then it finally moves east for Monday afternoon. So that's a really good, wet, strong system. Now the secondary system that comes by on Tuesday afternoon is starting out that way. See a little patch of yellow there, barely sneaking in the state. But then watch what happens. Ooh, we get a little flare up there for Tuesday evening. So about 6 hours of things looking good. Whoa, starting to blow up there about 12Z. That's a Wednesday morning, but that's shifting into eastern Oklahoma. And then what's behind it? It's really nothing. It's almost kind of drying out. So the secondary storm is still up in the air as to whether or not we're going to get another foot of snow out of it, which is what earlier models indicated, or if we're just going to get about 4-5 inches out of it. So we'll have to see what happens with the QPF in that aspect of things. Now, timing. Let's get into the timing for when the snow is going to come. Is moving in earlier. All right, models keep pushing up the timing of arrival. That's not out of the ordinary. They don't sample the storms very well when they're offshore. They get better once they get onshore as far as timing goes. And this one's just now approaching onshore, so it's starting to pick up a little bit better on its organization. So as we head into tomorrow evening, this is 9 o'clock. We should have light snow breaking out in advance of that next storm system. So that's a Saturday evening start to this event. Now that's about 6 hours earlier, and was 12 hours earlier than what models originally had. So we keep bumping it up a full 12-hour window. It's going to end sooner, but that means the heavier stuff is going to come in during the bulk of our morning on Sunday now instead of the afternoon. That's a big change for you folks that are wanting to make some plans. Here's midnight, snowing pretty heavy. That continues to expand during the day, during the night into the early morning hours. So here's 6 a.m. Sunday. It's snowing across the entire state. As we head into 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, it's still snowing. My goodness. 11 o'clock, noontime, coming on down in buckets. Keeps going about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and it's starting to wind down here across northern and northwestern Oklahoma. So the bulk of the snow is probably going to fall before 6 o'clock, and then we're going to kind of continue the stragglers down here into the southeastern third of the state for a few more hours after that, probably to about midnight. But the bulk of, as far as the heavy stuff, should happen during the first part of our Sunday. Now, what does that look like QPF-wise? First off, the models are not going to know what's happening tonight. They do not handle this light stuff very well. So they handle the moderate to heavy stuff okay. So just know we already have a light dusting to deal with tonight and tomorrow for Saturday. All right, so that's already on the table. So now let's just look at the next storm system that comes in for Saturday evening. So by midnight, we already have close to about a tenth, possibly, of an inch of QPF here. All right, so a tenth of an inch times 10 at least, that's an inch of snow. If you multiply times 20, that's 2 inches of snow. So that's how quickly we can go, whoa, we already got 2 inches of snow out there? Yeah. So that means what happens when we get into Sunday morning at 6 a.m. All right, well, there's 6 a.m. Pockets around here are up close to 2/10 around central Oklahoma. And the models aren't going to be exact, so they have little streaks where they think the higher amounts will be. But the point being is we're looking at an average about 2/10 of precipitation of QPF. Now, 2/10 times 20 is 4 inches of snow. So we're already going to have 4 inches of snow at 6 a.m. to deal with. So if you're trying to travel early Sunday morning, that's a problem. Now, as we head into the lunchtime hour, so we'll go to noon, the model's starting to pick up patches here of close to 4/10 already. So there's up mid 3s to near 4. So that's an additional couple inches of snow there. And as it kind of wraps up here in the timeline, it stops at 6. The short-term model, so it doesn't go beyond that. So we'll add just a tiny bit more to it. But western and central Oklahoma, this is probably the bulk of it, which is up around half an inch. So that kind of jives with all prior forecast discussions and thought processes. Some a little higher, some a little lower. But with that snow ratio of at least 20, and I think then closer to 25 to 1, you're looking probably at about a foot of snow here in central Oklahoma. That's still what I'm going with based off the latest data. And that was a look at the HRR. There will be some wind gusts tomorrow. It's been a little windy today, and yes, it will be still a little breezy tomorrow. Let's take a look at that. So here's Saturday morning. There's winds up around 20. In the afternoon, there's pockets of winds up around 20. But on Sunday, this is where we get close to blizzard criteria. These winds here into the mid-20s for the morning hours. And then you see some pockets of red that start to show up. Here's one down a lot, and that's 30 miles per hour. Elk City, there's 30. Now, the models aren't going to know the exact spot of where these little pockets will show up. The point being is the data is there to just almost support blizzard-type criteria. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a brief warning, at least for some counties, reaching that as the winds get up around 35 miles per hour here over parts, especially of southern Oklahoma, with blowing snow and drifting snow. Snow drifts could be ridiculous. It's not even worth trying to estimate because you don't know. It could be 9 feet tall as far as I know. Snow drift is crazy, especially when you're dealing with a foot of snow as it is anyway. Okay, so let's go to the Canadian model, which that data had just come in as I was going live, so I didn't get to look at all of it, but what I looked at, I liked regarding the temperature. All right, so this is the reason why I think most of the models are missing the snow ratio because they still don't even know what the actual temperatures are going to be. They busted on temperatures for this whole period, which isn't unexpected. It's just sad. We're this far in the science and they still can't get it right. But anyway, here's Sunday morning. We're close to 0 degrees in the morning already. This is actual air temperature, by the way. So single digits out there across the state. That's 3 degrees in Oklahoma City. If you're having a hard time seeing it, that's 0 to 1 up across northern Oklahoma. It's the negative numbers in Kansas. Now, as we head into Sunday afternoon, it doesn't really change any. Temperatures stay between 0 and 5 degrees in most of the state. A little bit warmer down in southeast Oklahoma. And then cool back down quickly in the evening. And then we get really cold overnight. So there's Monday in the negative numbers. And then Monday temperatures in the afternoon should get above 0 briefly, hopefully, if things go well. And then Tuesday morning, they drop off into the negative teens. So we're anywhere from minus 10 to looks like minus 20 degrees across the state Tuesday morning. That's actual air temperature. It's not even the wind chill. Now we factor in the wind chill, and that's just because of the snow. That's the snowpack, assuming some clear skies and some other issues, light winds. So let's take a look at the wind chill values on Sunday. So your Valentine's Day wind chill values with this situation would be in the minus teens to minus 20s. Remember that frostbite graphic information I told you about? This is why I spent so much time on that. This right here is the deadly day, Valentine's Day. And I don't want to see a news thing, across 4, 5, and 9 with the banner that says Deadly Valentine's Day, and then we start piling up deaths. I don't want to see that. But that's typical news ratings nonsense. But that day is going to be a day where there's going to be trouble if people do not heed the warnings and the information. So here's by Sunday evening, wind chill values in the negative 20s. Monday morning, we're close to minus 30 on wind chill values out there. It's just brutal stuff. I mean, this stuff should stay in Canada, not down here in Oklahoma. It does not belong down here. I did talk to a friend of mine who has cattle. I said, man, how do you protect your cattle in this environment? He says, man, you really can't. He said, if they group together, they often will smother the calves and kill them. And so that's a bad news. I mean, we try to feed them. You try to give them water, and that kind of helps to keep them warm. But you just expect to lose a few. And that's just sad. And that's cattle. So keep that in mind with your pets. They're not going to be nearly as efficient as a cattle at staying warm and alive. Okay, so that was a look at the temperatures and wind chill, which I wanted to harp on one last time here for the latter part of the weekend. It's snow amounts still coming in Saturday evening as well. So similar timing, heavier stuff in the midday hours and then moving off by afternoon and evening. Still some lingering light snow it has in central Oklahoma. So it's a little slower moving out the light snow than the look to be the high-res model we looked at earlier. But even though that model doesn't quite come in all the way. Now let's take a look at the QPF of it to see if it kind of jives with the half inch that we've looked at before through Monday morning, and it does. So it still looks at about half an inch or some pockets in here, maybe just slightly more than that, but it likes central Oklahoma. Other models kind of favored central and parts of western Oklahoma, and yet other models still favored parts of heavier rain in southeast Oklahoma. So that's what I'm saying. I think a half inch widespread across the state is good, and then we just have to divvy it up in snow ratios. So if we do that based off of snow ratios, let's do this. Now, I'm trying to think. Let me do it this way, and then we're pretty much done. Let's break up how much. Even though this is a huge part of the story, it'll get lost in everything else. There's a lot to discuss, right? Obviously, that's what these things take so long for. So we'll break this down here. Let's do this. Okay, so we'll assume, let's see, those numbers were about 8 degrees or less all the way down to something like this on the Canadian model. Other models weren't quite as aggressive. So we'll split the difference. So we're going to call this a 25-to-1 ratio. And then we're going to call this out here a 30. A 30-to-1. And then this down here in southeast Oklahoma is going to have a quick gradient from 20 down to probably 10 by the time you split the difference for snow. So in other words, if you get 5/10 or 6/10 of rain in southeast Oklahoma, you'll end up about 6 inches of snow with that. And then there'll be a quick ramp up in the gradient once you get close to McAllister and Muskogee, because you're quickly back into the 20-to-1 ratio. You have to multiply it by 2. Now, you do see these numbers on the map that says 0.2 in McAllister, 0.2 in Muskogee. Just ignore that. I think it's a widespread half inch, so overall. And so at a widespread half inch with that, that's 10 inches of snow out here. When you're talking about 25 or 30, actually just start in northwest Oklahoma. So let's say 15 inches of snow out in Woodward and Elk City and Enid, and points out northwest from there to the Panhandle. I think that's a pretty good call. And this, it's just crazy to even say that, right? And then we're looking about a foot here in central Oklahoma at a 25-to-1. That stretches up to Tulsa. If you guys are asking me in Tulsa what's going to be like, you're in the 25-to-1 category for the snow ratios. So that's how it breaks down, the way things look. I won't even mess with that. It's no point. The extended American model is still holding out hope that secondary system isn't as weak as the European has it, which I've been using the American model this entire time, who's been right the entire time. The European has been horrible. I just keep hoping it comes around here toward the end now that it knows what's going on. But let's say it doesn't, it's still wrong. Well, then we're back up to an inch total QPF. So it's ½ inch with this system, ½ inch with the next one. That means another foot of snow, roughly here in central Oklahoma. So that's a total of 24 inches of snow. So yes, that is a possibility. Yes, that's on the table. I'm not quite sold yet to promise you that. My confidence isn't that high yet for the second storm. I'm just saying that is a possibility. Temperatures obviously are cradling down on Monday morning, -6. Tuesday morning, -10. This is thanks to the heavy snowpack. And then these numbers you see here on the map, really from, well, even these highs, I doubt that'll make it. And then all this stuff is just all garbage, because we're not going to warm up this fast because with snowpack that we're going to have that much snow on the ground. And Arctic air doesn't like to get eroded that fast, and overnight lows will be a little colder. So you got to shave all this by 10 degrees at least, and just throw this out because it's a very chaotic pattern. Yeah, we might actually warm up finally. We might cool right back down with little brief cold shots, and we'll deal with all that later in the extended. There's just so much to focus on, and my priorities are not in the extended. I can just tell you that it's a little too chaotic to bet the farm on that one. All right, that was a lot to say, and thanks for hanging in there. I lost some of it. You're like, my goodness. Hey, it's Friday night. What else you got to do? But you want to get down to the dirt with meteorology. You want to know what a scientist sees behind the scenes, how they talk about it, rationalize it, put it together. It's a storyline, how you build it, what elements you look for, how confident are you, what goes into it. This is just an example. And I don't even show you everything. I just show you enough to where I can explain it easy for you. There's so much stuff that we can look at now, which is great. Back when I first got in meteorology, you didn't have hardly anything to look at. So it's so much easier to be a meteorologist in today's day and age than it was when I started back in '96. That's when I graduated at Texas A&M. And it's a big difference there. I can't believe it's been that long. But you guys appreciate it. You're awesome. If you joined me late and you missed the Chris had said our church canceled. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I was talking to my pastor at Life Church, and I told him, I said, look, man, I was trying to hold the snow off for you, till church ended, but I just can't do it. So I let him know. So I don't know. They may postpone or cancel or just come if you can make it. Who knows? That's not my decision, but that'll be the snow in the mornings for Sunday for any church that has services. It looks significant. At least it's a dry snow, so you might be able to blow it around with a snow blower instead of a shovel. You can try that little trick. I'd like to see a video on that. I might try that myself. Jody's laughing at me for even the idea of it. And I'm like, no. All we need is a little dustpan shovel I got in the closet and my little leaf blower. I said, I think we're going to be good. But we're going to see. It depends on how much snow we get. But that'll be a fun video if I end up trying that out. Let's see. What else? Obviously, pets, plants, your pipes. We need to open up our cupboards as well, let the air circulate in there, and your doors to rooms that are closed off that may have exposure to pipes, outside lines that come in. So make sure you get air circulating in that, keep it from breaking. Pools, if you have them, of course, they should have been winterized by now, but in Oklahoma, a lot of times we don't, because we don't really need to. It never really gets that cold. That's going to be an issue for some of you. I know one friend that already had their pool, their pipes go south, and they had to come to get some antifreeze and rescue the line of the motor with that. There's always so much to think about, and I always forget something. Ponds, pools, lakes, even the pool itself. Keep the kids off. Tell them, don't be playing on the ice. It won't be thick enough to hold their weight. Somebody's going to pay if they get out there and do it. I know, because I was one of those kids, and we would test it. And I don't know what it is about boys. I was telling Jody, it's like, you know how dogs just inherently know certain things? I mean, like Larry, for example. He's never had another, animal to learn from, but yet he knows all these things that he does and needs to do. It's a boy dog. And I'm just like, how does he know all this stuff, right? So it's ingrained, passed down, yada, yada. I think human boys are the same way. We're all the same. We all do the same dumb things. I see a solid sheet of ice. Let's go play on it. That's just what you do. And then you go out there and you test it. Looks good, looks solid, until you get a little too far out and then you start to hear that crack. And you're like, you have that little fear that hits you. And you back away real slow and you hope you make it out of there. You're like, whew. But then you go right back to playing in a different part of the ice, that's a little thicker. That was me. So if I did it, I'm sure, but a lot of other kids are going to do it. So, moms, do your job. Tell them, don't do it. That was in 1983 in Dallas, just so you know, because you're like, when was it ever cold enough for that, Aaron? Well, I lived in Dallas, and that was cold enough for that. And I'm sure there was a couple other years where it got cold enough to at least do that. And I think I did come to Oklahoma a few times to see my grandparents. I'm sure there was some ponds I tested then. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, that's the life of a adventurous boy. It's in my DNA. All right, let me see what else. Hey Jody, if you can think of anything I forget, and let me know. Oh, she was talking about cars not starting being cold. In Canada, they have warmers for your cars. You plug them in, and it keeps everything warm, the liquids and the battery and motor and all that stuff. Here, block heaters, that's what they are. Thank you. But here, of course, we don't have that because we don't experience this kind of cold. Now, for this short duration, it may not be a bad problem, but if your car is outdoors and doesn't want to start, well, you know why. The cold air killed the battery. You don't have enough amperage to get it started, so you have to have a jump, which goes back into the one thing I should have said during the car preparation thing for your safety kit and all that. I mentioned jumper cables. Ladies, I'm talking to you right now, all right? You don't need jumper cables anymore. You don't need a knight in shining armor to come and save you. You don't need another woman in shining armor to come and save you. All you need is yourself. And you're like, well, how can I do that, Aaron? Doesn't matter where you are. Go buy. Tomorrow's stores are still open. Weather won't be that bad for traveling. Go buy you one of those lithium-ion batteries. They're real thin. It's a brick. It's kind of like the size of a battery to go on your laptop. Those things can charge, start a car. And then they're also used to charge various things like a computer or your cell phones or whatever else. But I've got a couple of those, and they are awesome. And I've tested them because I've killed my battery a few times. Work like a champ. I charge it. I leave it in the car for 6 months. Take it out. Go charge it again just to top it off. It's good. And they're cheap. They're about $100 to get one that'll start a really big vehicle. We're talking big daddy vehicles. Even into the big trucks, you can start a semi. You can start, any size vehicle with these little ion battery chargers. So keep that in mind. It's a good thing to get. If you've got next day Amazon Prime shipping, you can do that. As long as the guys can get out and around. They'd have to come tomorrow, though. I don't think they're going to make it on Sunday, but they may try. But that's something else you can keep in your car extended as well. So if you do have that problem, that'll solve it for you. And then you can get industrious with that. You could have a little space heater, and you could plug it in. It would have to have a special conversion cable on it, so you have to go to a car auto store or whatever for that. But you could plug that in. That would power that up if you didn't have enough gas in your car. So you have to think of some other things. But like I said, we don't live in that environment, so we really don't need that kind of stuff. And this is a short-term period, so I think you'll be all right as long as you just stay indoors and don't try to get out in it unless you have to. All right, I think I have exhausted pretty much everything there is to say. It's about 10 o'clock. You can go watch the other guys jump up and dance and tell you basically the same thing that I talked about here. And the snowfall amounts will be all over the place when you watch them. I don't know what they're going to use for their thought process to when they draw their maps, so I'm not a mind reader. I can just tell you I'm just going to go strictly by old school meteorology and do QPF times snow ratio. And I picked the snow ratio based off the model that has the best idea of the real temperatures, and they all stink at it right now. It's way colder, so I think snow ratios are going to be higher, and they're going to underestimate them. Therefore, all the snowfall model outputs are all going to underplay the event on overall snow totals. So that's how I see it, and so as a result of that, I'm still going a foot of snow here in central Oklahoma, up to Tulsa, up to 16 inches or so out in western Oklahoma, and then far southeastern Oklahoma, maybe about 8 inches of snow, 6 to 8. And then, so it's a pretty good gradient down there that quickly turns heavy. It's a dry, powdery snow. You really can't compact it into a snowman or snowball. A lot of it blows off the road, but once you get too much of it, it's got nowhere to go, so it'll stay on the road. It'll cause problems. Snow drifts will be ridiculous. This lake effect snow will be ridiculous. So someone's going to get some really big piles of snow. I can't wait to see it. I mean, we're talking feet. In that case, with winds gusting up around 30, 35 miles per hour at times. It's near blizzard criteria at some points during the event on Sunday. If you're really joining me really late, you're like, when does it move in? Saturday evening here across the state from west to east. So it's moved up its timeline about 12 hours, which means it'll wrap up probably Sunday, either late evening or early Sunday night. So again, if it's going to start 12 hours earlier, it's got to end 12 hours early. So in other words, it won't be ending Monday afternoon like the original models had thought. So that's kind of how that would play out. And then overall QPF, which if I were to look at all the model data in my head and replay it through, they all pretty much average out to about half an inch. So you just take your snow ratio times that half an inch, so that's 0.5. If you live in northwestern Oklahoma, you're multiplying by 30. If you live in central Oklahoma, you're multiplying about 25. Take us up to Tulsa. And then as you go southeast Oklahoma, that ratio quickly changes from 25 to 20 to 15 to 10. And those are your multiplication numbers. Down in Dallas, they'll probably be closer to 10 to 1. Maybe 15 to 1. So down there, they're probably looking about 6 inches of snow, something like that. So they're going to get some good snows out of it. And that kind of goes for all of North Texas. So some decent snows down there. They're going to get a little sleet before then. I think it is for Saturday night as well. So I know some people are asking about traveling back and forth to Dallas. And I'm just like, first off, my first reaction is, it's a winter storm. I'm like, why do you have to go in a winter storm? But some people just have to go, right? So they're asking about the best time. I'm just like, well, right now the data says this. Well, the problem is when you're trying to make a plan that far out, the data changes, especially on timing. And what was going to come in heavier in the afternoon is now coming in heavier in the morning. So everybody who thought they had a decent time to get back if they went early morning, well, SOL, because now it's going to be back to the heavy end. So that would be blowing snow conditions, whiteout visibility, just bad stuff overall. So that's what I kind of tell you, just to stay home. For those of you folks that, Elizabeth, I see you 12 to 24. So to get 24 inches, that's going to be round 2. And that round 2 is coming in Tuesday into Wednesday, wraps up Thursday morning. So it actually looks to be a prolonged, longer period of enhanced lift. So that tells my mind we should get more QPF out of it. In other words, more precipitation. However, the models are coming in a little weaker with that system. So there's a trade-off. There's some balance there. But the longer time and a lesser QPF may still equal what would have been a shorter time with a stronger system to begin with. And they still may average out to half an inch QPF. If it does, if it's another half inch, guess what? That's another foot of snow. All right. So that's how you get 1 foot plus 2 foot equals 24 inches. So for those of you folks asking, that's how you get some crazy snows in Oklahoma. Confidence isn't 100% on that secondary storm. Why? Well, because today's Friday, and that's not coming in until Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days from now. And then when you're forecasting snowfall totals, that's a nightmare. Just so you know, it's really not even doable, but we do it anyway because you guys demand it. You heard me earlier in my prior forecast. I talked about that as well. Okay, so listen, that's it. I think I've done. My throat's starting to hurt. I've yacked on too much. Couple questions, because it is Friday night, and for those of you folks that hung up there with me, came in late, let's answer a couple of your questions. I just gave a recap, of everything. So if you just missed that, I don't know what to tell you, but let's do a couple of questions. Switch my mouse here. All right. Man, you guys are active on YouTube. That's awesome. So thanks for being chatty Cathy's in a good way. Jody, thank you very much. I already got some Tulsa inquiries. So I talked about Tulsa as well. So I still think probably up close to a foot in Tulsa based off your snow ratio and your QPF. Now, keep in mind, somebody's not going to be happy because that QPF is an average of half an inch. Some are going to be slightly more, some slightly less. So you may end up with 10 inches of snow or 9 inches. But with it blowing around so much, it may be hard to measure anyway. So you may not even notice the difference. But that's what's going to fall from the sky any way you look at it. All right. If you guys on Twitter and Periscope want to say something, now's your chance. Just type it away. When I'm looking at maps and stuff, I can't read the comments. Let's see. My Patreon page, just load that up. By the way, if you guys are missed at the beginning, I think that was a sentence I was going to say, and then maybe I forgot to say because I see a lot of squirrels in my line of work. But if you haven't checked your notifications on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, you need to recheck them. They change stuff, and when they do, they will disconnect your notifications that you selected. They'll reset them, which means you won't get notified. In other words, you don't. So, for example, you have it set to get notified every time I go live. All right, you don't want to miss a thing. Well, they may change it to where you go live sometime, or you get notified sometimes on some content. Well, if that's not what you wanted, then you go back in there and change it. So, keep that in mind. All right, patrons here real quick. I just loaded you guys up. You guys are talkative tonight. Larry, doing good. Dina, good to see you. Stephanie, glad you liked the commercial. It's a great company. Glad to partner with them. Can't thank Ferguson Roof Systems enough. Denise, good to see you. Yeah, Jody did bring all the cold. I blame her, actually, Stephanie. Jessica, so on this stuff, you can't share the closed group Facebook page. It's a private page. You can share the main page, though. So you could go to the Facebook page. Are they calling for Larry? Who's calling for Larry?
Oh, you gotta see those Larry comments.
Oh, my gosh. I missed the Larry comments, apparently. Oh, buddy. They loved you last time. They want to see some more of you. Oh, are you yawning again? All right. So, this is Larry's third time. The first time didn't work out so well. Second time, was the second time he's all squirrely? He was barking at the door. He was in guard dog mode. And then now he's back in a sleepy mode. Because it's 10 o'clock. He's very calm at 10 o'clock. And then at 11 o'clock, he's out cold. And if you're not in bed by 11, he'll let you know about it. He's not upset. He's upset about it. But when you tell him let's go to bed, he takes off running. So he puts his fast pants on, and he's in his kennel, and he's done. He's out for the night. But he's 3 pounds, and he is a show stealer, and his name's Little Larry. You have to say little because it just works. Yes. You a good boy tonight? Yeah. Look at those big brown eyes. Showing all those lays with big brown eyes? Yeah. So his name is Little Larry because Jody's dad's name was Larry. And ironically, she picked up Larry before we met, and I informed Jody that my dad's name was Larry. And so just that alone, we knew it was meant to be the three of us. So anyway. All right, buddy. Well, I go back to work. I got to answer some questions. Yeah. Don't you have some mailmen to chase? All right. Say bye, everybody. All right. You know what? 3 pounds gets heavy after a while, just so you know. And he likes to be held. All right. I ain't blaming Joey for all this cold. Wes. Same here, brother. Let's see. Larry says there's already a ½ inch of snow on the ground and more. I believe it. With all the stuff that's going on out there, an inch of snow out of all that, definitely doable. And we figured probably on through Saturday morning, everybody should probably have at least about an inch of snow. And what's frustrating for me is the models completely don't see any of that. So when you show the snowfall maps, it doesn't even count the first inch. I mean, that's like, why doesn't that count? Well, because they don't even know what's happening. It's crazy. All right, let's go to the main page. All right, so keep in mind, if you ask me some questions or comments, that's not the video I want. Hold on, I gotta hit reload. I loaded up my lunchtime. I've been doing some lunchtime lives this week around 11:45 because of all the activity. All right, so let's go here. Oh, and guess what happens in 5 minutes? Mike Morgan, Damon Lane, David Payne, they all get on at the same time to tell you it's going to snow. All right, what happens at South Central Oklahoma like Ardmore? Going to get some snow, quite a bit of it, several inches. Looks like y'all love Larry. Oh my goodness, it's funny. He's cute most of the time. He's in that adorable stage majority of the time. He's not very rotten very often. It's just usually when he forgets there's an outside door, if you know what I mean. But I think that's more of just him trying to exert dominance in the house. But when the alpha dog catches the cub lion trying to become alpha, Alpha Dog steps in and says, "Oh hell no! You take that business outside." So anyway, Larry's cute. All right, so I don't see any other comments other than the Larry one. So if you had a question for me, you have to say it here real quick. Roger, your picture did not attach, whatever that was, probably because Facebook doesn't allow it on the live broadcast, but I did get the stars, so thank you for that. So sorry that your picture didn't come through. Some of you are on 2 and 3 week and 4 week streaks. That's awesome, so I appreciate that. Can we please get Larry an AT hoodie? Man, you know how small. Listen, you actually have to get cat clothing for Larry, like kitten size, because that's how small Larry is. Please post pics of Larry in the snow. Believe it or not, Larry hates the snow, but only when it's deep. Like out there right now, the little dusting, there's no problem with it. He doesn't really particularly care for it, but he'll go out in it. When it's 6 inches of snow like it was the last time, oh, he wouldn't even step out there. You didn't send a picture. Well, I don't know. It said you try to send a picture, so I don't know. It said you try to attach something. Son wants to play on the pond. Convince is thick enough. Oh my goodness, Michelle, where were you when we discussed this about 10 minutes ago? Don't you dare let him out there on that pond. Boys will be boys, but moms will be moms. You know what I'm saying? Google customizable hoodies, cat hoodies. That's a thing? All right. You hear that, Jody?
What's that?
We have to Google customizable cat hoodies, and then we'll get one for Larry.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Daisy, shut your face. I'm late to the party. What did I miss? Absolutely nothing. You didn't miss the thing. What are you doing? Don't even give me that whole put the kids to bed nonsense. We've been on the air for, oh my goodness, nearly an hour. Robert, thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for the stars tonight. Whoa, big 1,000. Appreciate you, sir. Jarrett, my boy from Rockwall. He's my classmate, my hood bro from Rockwall High School. And we love snow, so we're always talking about snow. So he just typed in the old Spanish version, Yeva. We'd go skiing with our church groups up down there. And in Spanish class, he and I would goof around quite a bit and make up our own little Spanish jingles, which the Spanish teacher I don't think really cared too much for. I think she did more of shaking her head. But I'm sure she was happy we were learning the language, so I think it was a 50-50. Don't you? Anyway, so anytime he has this probability of snow, he gets pumped down there. So, yeah, if you guys can get some snow, I think probably good 6 inches, probably. Watch the local guys, though, see what they say, because I didn't spend a lot of time. Burned your retinas. I forgot about that. So, on that ski trip, I didn't wear any sunglasses, and it was sunny. He said, burned your retinas. I was sunburnt, like my whole eyes were bloodshot. Everything was just bloodshot. I don't know what happened. But I don't think I'd ever snowed before, so I think it was my first time. I'm not sure. And so that, you live and learn. Let's see, what else? Good friend's brother died on a frozen pond. Don't do it. Suzette, there you go. That's why you don't want to do it. Larry should become the page mascot, right? Is Larry going to tornado chase this spring? Chad, no, you're going to have to watch Gizmo and Reed Timmer for that. Reed takes little Gizmo around everywhere, but Larry's a homebody. He doesn't want to chase tornadoes, at least as far as I know. Where do you get QPF models? Austin, everywhere, all on the internet. How does a large body of water have to cause lake effect? Oh, how large? It doesn't have to be large at all, actually. A pond is too small. I mean, technically, I guess a pond would do it, but it's so minute you wouldn't notice the difference. You need a large body of water. It's like Lake Hefner, Tin Killer, Oolaga. Just those big lakes in the state. All of those will do it. They just can't be frozen over. If they're frozen over, they won't do it. It's when they're still holding heat and letting that heat escape. So there you go. Good question, though. When's the warm-up going to start melting this mess? Not anytime soon. This snow is going to be around all next week, probably lingering into next weekend before it finally starts to melt off, a lot of the grassy areas. It'll melt off the streets and stuff first, of course, but that won't happen until the weekend. I think for the rest of the next week, it's a snow week. Pretend like you live in Canada. Get used to it. How many inches of snow do you expect? Mary wants to know. Depends on where you live, Mary. Where do you live? How long? See, I already got that one. Love Gizmo. I already answered the question about the body of water, how big it has to be. Is Tulsa really going to get 85 inches of snow? 85. I couldn't imagine 85 inches of snow. So that would be a hard no on that one. What about Latimer County, southeast Oklahoma? You guys are in the 10 to 1, maybe 15 to 1 at most ratio. So you're probably looking at about 6 inches of snow, 8-inch max. Probably closer to 6. Aaron doesn't love us Wichita people. Caters to Dallas, though. Oh, my goodness. That's because Wichita's not getting anything. You guys are lame up there. Oh, you guys just cold temperatures. No, actually, you will get a little snow with this deal, a few inches. Well, it's probably 5. But it's not, Oklahoma's got the big bullseye, so you guys kind of missed out. So the snow wasn't the huge story for you guys. It was mostly this just brutal cold. And y'all been worse off than we have this whole time. But to answer your other question, Mary, you said Yukon, so a foot of snow. Does that sound good for you? Okay, so southeast Oklahoma, guys are down there anywhere between 6 to 8 inches of snow. Oh, the stores are empty. Hey, the stores are empty here too. Stores are empty everywhere. Are you kidding me? Big snowstorm comes in. So Allison says, is there a chance this fizzles out to nothing? Nope, 0 chance. It's a different setup on this one, different animal. It's actually the perfect pattern for this. I'm scheduled to drive from Wagner home to Norman on Sunday morning. Should I plan to head home Saturday afternoon? I think that's a great idea, Julie. I think you are ahead of the curve. When can I go golfing again? Jeremy, don't let the snow stop you. Maybe a little hard to find that ball, but I say get out there. Piedmont forecast. I'm kind of late. Kinda. Carly, we're 1 hour plus into this now. Pawnee, here comes all the individual towns and counties and questions. So let me keep it real simple. A foot plus or minus a couple inches. There, I just covered the whole state with that one forecast. With the exception of far southeast Oklahoma, where you have several inches less than that. But otherwise, there you go. And that's the best look right now as the time that we are under. We're within the 48-hour window. Power outages in Oklahoma City? Well, there are some power outages out there over the state already. And there will be some time off and on, just as we normally do have power outages, but they're usually brief. Oh, you're welcome, Deborah. I'm glad she missed that pileup in Dallas. That was bad news, man. Let's see. What was the other question? Getting tired. I can't think. Where was I? Come on, brain. Oh, power outages. So there is a little ice accumulating on some of the lines, but it's very thin. It does add a little weight, and with the winds up around 30, 35, anything out there, I guess, is, with the cold temperatures, conceivable. With the very cold temperatures, you probably get a little line loss. So, but I'm hopeful that it won't be widespread, so crews can fix it pretty quick. With the snow, though, however, that may delay the fixing, at least, for like Sunday, for example. So they wouldn't be able to get out there to it Monday or Tuesday before the next system comes in. So, but I don't know. I'm not a linesman, so I don't know how they operate during those types of events. But Jessica, it's literally been snowing in Ada nonstop today. I know, isn't it great? There's been same here at my house. It's been snowing all day, but doesn't accumulate to anything. And most of it, this was earlier on, because it was the same snow blowing around. It's just recirculating. There was a little bit of light stuff in there, but otherwise, There wasn't really anything to massively accumulate. Now this evening things changed a little bit as that system is diving into Texas, giving us a little bit more to work with. So we're getting a little bit of a light dusting with that's piling up. So about a half inch to an inch already for a lot of you has accumulated here. But that's just the tip of the iceberg is what we're going to be getting. Let's see. On Twitter, I see I'm going to build a snowman in my apartment. It's so cold. Oh, I'm telling you. Guys on YouTube, again, thanks for checking in and being active. Appreciate it. So, who's asking about Branson, Missouri? Samuel is. All right. And I kind of focused on Oklahoma on this deal, even though I showed you big maps that cover Kansas, Texas, and Arkansas, Missouri, so that you can see them for yourself, just kind of get an idea, because I haven't spent a lot of time at looking at your snow ratios. There's just too much for me to cover on a big event like this, so I kind of have to narrow it down. But I can show you what there was. Where were we? Where are we? Alright, so let's do this, and then I'm pretty much going to turn it loose because it's Friday night in the big town, as old Gary would used to say. And Jody's in the other room. I already heard her yawn. I can't let that happen. It's too early for that business. You saw Larry yawn a minute ago. And if now Jody's yawning, and then I'm starting to yawn, that puts us in trouble. Gotta get moving. Alright, so let's get back to the map. Let's see, what map did I want? Let's get back to this map. Alright, let's go to the bigger view of this. And let me go to the Canadian. Okay, so in Missouri, an interesting deal there. All the models like a little mesoscale action. So there's going to be some streaks of some decent precipitation surrounded by areas of where you don't get a whole lot, like 0.2, for example. Well, let's just say it's 10. It's if it's 10 to 1, it's 10 inches of snow. If it's 20 to 1, it's 4 inches of snow. So we'll give you props. We'll say you get 20 to 1 snow ratio. All right, you're looking at 4 inches of snow in the lighter amounts, and you're looking up to maybe 10 inches of snow in the darker amounts in Missouri, and just in streaks. Southeast Kansas, same thing. South Central Kansas, like I said, you're probably about half. If we double this at 25 to 1 or whatever, you're still looking at about 5-6 inches of snow in your area. Down in Dallas, we talked about, same boat there. You're at 0.3 to 0.4. So if you're between a 10 and 15 ratio, so you're probably looking at about 5 or 6 inches down there. So it's not a bad call for you guys, for Dallas. In western Oklahoma, even though you're at 0.4 versus 0.10, your ratio is 30 to 1. So you're still easy, right back into it. So 12 to 16 inches all over the place out here in western Oklahoma. Let's see, I think that's it. So we'll see what happens here in Central. Maybe we'll win out. We'll have a combination of the best, meaning the most QPF, and then maybe the best or close to the best snow ratio. Yeah, we might just have a nice little deal on our hands. Okay, so there has been some new model data that's come in. Is it the American model? Oh, it is. And I've been favoring this one forever, so let's see if I still favor it. Oh, yes, I do. All right. It jives with my forecast. It has not changed. Everything's the same. Oh, it's almost too easy at this point. It's almost not even a challenge. It's strange to say, but it's nothing's changed. It's all the same, so it's great. I love it. It's consistency. All right, now let's go to the secondary storm. That's where things get... Yes. 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 It has not wavered. Its faith is strong. 1 inch of snow. 1 inch of QPF. All right? That means the 12 inches of snow we see this weekend will be another 12 inches of snow for the middle of next week. That's 24 inches of snow. That's not even including drifts, and that's not including lake effect. Yes, that's awesome. As a meteorologist, the rest of you, I'm sure this says that stinks. And the problems it causes, I get it. That stinks too. Just the meteorologist in me to see this type of thing, You know I have to love it. It's just your passion. It's what you do. Does it take away from your heartache and pain? We can both exist in the same plane, but I get it. So, but that's the latest model data. So that's good. That was my forecast from before, and then looking at some of the differing forecasts from the extended, especially that European, shook me a little bit, saying there's a weakness there that could be exploited. And so I wasn't quite as certain as I was before, but that helps me bring back more certainty. And it's newer version of the GFS, which I haven't used a whole lot in this deal because it's new, it's untested, it's in the beta version. It's calmed down quite a bit. It was 2.4 inches, I think, at one point in time, and now it's 1.4. So it's getting closer to its older version. So that's good. So it's trending downward, but it's not trending down, too much. So my confidence is increasing again, back to that 12-inch period of snow. Let's go to, what else? Anything else come in? Nah, just those two. So, all right. Well, those of you folks that stayed late, that was a sneak peek at what may be coming our way in the middle of next week. And of course, I'll keep an eye on that. But that's what's on the table for round 2. All right, I gotta get out of here. Guys, been great. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm starting to slow down, losing that energy, as they tell you in TV world. Gotta keep up the energy. Let's see, Samuel. I was using 30 to 1 due to temps mostly below 5 when it's snowing, and I use both GFS models. Got it. All right. One last little peruse. My patrons. You guys love Larry. Edmund to Norman, 11 to 1 p.m. on Sunday. Not going to happen. Sorry. So if you had plans, it's not going to happen. I wouldn't do it. You're welcome, Deborah. I will go snuggle with Jody and Larry. Larry needs some loving too. He's very needy. No, I'm just kidding. He's good. So I'll give him little smooches. He loves his daddy kisses. He just sits there and goes, give me more. Give me some more on this side. Then he goes to this side. It's so adorable. Anyway. All right. So if it's a QPF of Suzanne, so if it's a 1.0 QPF, why isn't it 24 inches for the second storm? No, it's a good question. It's a 1-inch total. In other words, that was a running total. So that was go through time from starting now till the end of Thursday. And as we do, it steps through, it collects the first half inch, and then it collects the second half inch. So it's 1 inch total through the whole period. So that's how you get 1 foot plus 1 foot. So it's 2 feet total. But that's a good question. I don't know if I'll ever make those clear when I show that stuff, but there you go. So I still don't know how much snow to expect at Tulsa by the time it's all over, Deborah. Yeah, you do. Foot of snow, up to a foot of snow here by Monday. And then with the next storm system, another potential foot of snow on the table, which we'll talk about later. All right. Am I doing another update tomorrow night? Heck yeah. I might even do one tomorrow afternoon. Broken Arrow, we had a 10 to 1 ratio. Heck no. You're like at a 25 to 1 ratio. Maybe 20 to 25. So no, that's why you got some good snows coming in Broken Arrow. That's why you're getting 10 plus inches. I like a foot. I'm just going to give you a foot. How about that? I've been watching the Thunder game. You still watching basketball, Dottie? When the electricity went out the other day, it was a quick warming fix. Gas. Guys, I must be having a conversation. Carol, Channel 9 is saying 10 to 16 inches of snow. Well, Lottie frickin' da. That's a old SNL skit, by the way. Back when it was funny. Certain actor who's no longer with us. John, linemen typically work through no matter what. Yeah, they do. You got to give it to those guys that have to work out in the field in the worst elements. So, all right, listen, I got out of here. I've already said that like 3 times, so I really mean it this time. But thank you again for your watching tonight, for your support, and however way that you provide it. It's all appreciated. We'll talk again tomorrow. Sleep well. Enjoy the light snow out there now, because you may not be enjoying the heavy snow later. Good night, everybody.